أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا من يرتد منكم عن دينه فسوف يأتي الله بقوم يحبهم ويحبونه أذلة على المؤمنين أعزة على الكافرين يجاهدون في سبيل الله ولا يخافون لومة لائم ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله واسع عليم. Surah Maida verse 54, the translation is Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O people who have believed, man yartadda minkum an dinihi, whoever turns away from amongst you from his faith, fasawfa ya'tillahu, so soon Allah will bring biqawmi, a group of people, yuhibbuhum, whom Allah loves, wa yuhibbuna, and who love Allah, adillatin alal mu'mineen, they are soft or humble towards the believers, izzatin alal kafirin, hard on the disbelievers, yujahiduna fi sabilillah, they fight in the way of Allah, wala yakhafuna lawmata la'im, and they are not afraid of reproach of any critic. ذَلِكَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ, this is the grace of Allah. يُؤْتِهِ مَن يَشَاءُ, He confers it on whom He wills. وَاللَّهُ وَاسِعٌ عَلِيمٌ, and Allah is all-embracing, all-knowing. In a previous verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited us to develop deep friendships with non-Muslims, especially the Jews and Christians, because one of the effects of the deep friendship is that our generations might diverse away from Islam. That is, they might commit apostasy or turn away from Islam altogether and become a disbeliever. So here in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing us that, O people who have believed, man yartadda minkum an dinihi, so whoever amongst you turns away from his faith, refuses to follow Islam and starts disbelieving or commits apostasy, then he or she will not do any harm to Islam or to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In fact, the harm is only for ourselves. It is not a harm for Islam at all. So Allah is saying that I have no need of you if you leave Islam. Allah is saying fasawfa ya'tillahu, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring forth a new group of people. Allah Ta'ala will bring forth a new group of people. Yuhibbuhum wa yuhibbuna, Allah will love them and they will love Allah back. So it is understandable that Muslims are supposed to love Allah, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done so much for us. We understand as Muslims that Allah has created us, created the universe for us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us rizq. He sends down rain, He brings forth vegetables, fruits and different types of meat. He takes care of us, everything in our human body. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is controlling it. So definitely we should love Allah, because death will also come to us on the orders of Allah. But what do we mean by yuhibbuhum, that Allah will love them? So how can Allah love us? So the response is in another verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, fattabi'uni yuhibbukumullah. O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tell the Sahaba that they should follow you, that is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Allah will start to love them. So the message is that if we want Allah to love us, then we should follow the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These days there is a large amount of weakness. There is a large amount of weakness of faith in following the sunnah. We try to say our prayers, we say the Ramadan, we say keep the fast in Ramadan, we do Hajj, and we try to do the basic things, but we should try to follow the sunnah in every aspect. For example, the sunnah of going to bazaar, the sunnah of sitting in vehicles, the sunnah of going to the washroom, the sunnah of sleeping, the sunnah of eating, drinking, the sunnah of becoming a guest or becoming a host. There are so many things that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has specified for us. Each one of them is sunnah, and we should try to learn it and follow it, because the more we do that, the more Allah will love us. And the more Allah will love us, obviously we can expect that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us a decision of paradise, because Allah loves us. So we should try to follow the sunnah as a way of life, not as an option. And the second quality of those people whom Allah will bring forth and whom the Muslims should definitely try to have is that adillatin alal mu'mineen aizzatin alal kafirin, that they will be the people who are humble towards the disbelievers. And being humble means that forgiving others for their mistakes. So Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in an hadith, the summary of the hadith is that I guarantee for a person a house in the center of paradise, for someone who is on the right path, who is saying the right thing, who has a right to something, but he leaves his right for others to avoid arguments or fights. So Prophet Muhammad ﷺ takes a guarantee for such a person that he will give him a house in the center of paradise. So that is adillatin alal mu'mineen. We should try to forgive others for their mistakes. That is how the Islamic culture or Islamic society will be formed. And aizzatin alal kafirin, and those people will be very strict towards the disbelievers. Strict does not mean that if a disbeliever is our neighbor, so we will not take care of him. But strict means that we will try to follow our sunnah in every case, and we will not try to follow the traditions or the culture or the way of life of the disbelievers. And also one of the interpretations of being strict or aizzatin is that we fight against the disbelievers. And that is what is the third quality mentioned in the next part, yujahiduna fi sabilillah, that the third quality of these people is that they will do jihad or the holy war in the way of Allah. All of us know that these days, many Muslims, may Allah forgive us, they believe that there is no need for jihad and that jihad is like terrorism. But that is the wrong interpretation. The purpose of this holy war is not to kill anybody out of love for lust or greed for money. But the purpose is to tell the people that if you refuse to accept the orders of Allah, if you refuse to accept the orders of Prophet ﷺ after they have done so much for you, and we have also invited you to follow the Islam many times, so if you refuse to do that, then eventually we have to fight with you so that Allah can punish you. It is not out of hatred for the disbelievers that the Muslims are supposed to do a jihad. It is out of hatred for their refusal to follow what Allah has commanded. So therefore, in the earlier times, the Muslims were doing jihad and they were conquering places and so many people were converting to Islam. So that thing is now finished. So, but it is written in the Quran that their quality will be that they yujahiduna fi sabilillah, that they will fight in the way of Allah. And the fourth quality is that wala yakhafuna lawmata la'im, that these people will not feel afraid from the reproach of any critic. When someone starts to follow deen or start some work of deen, then there are many Muslims who start to criticize that. So if someone is doing some work of deen, and some other people start to do some other work of deen, then they start to criticize each other that we are right and you are wrong. So that is not the right way, but that is what happens. So Allah SWT is saying that whoever is on the right path, whoever is doing the work of deen, which is according to Sirat Mustaqim, the way of Prophet ﷺ and the way of Sahaba, then he should not feel afraid of any critic, of the reproach of any critic, lawmat al-laim, because people will always criticize, or people will mostly criticize anybody who starts some work of deen. That's how the thing is, because whenever any Prophet ﷺ, he started preaching, then in almost all the cases the people went against the Prophet. They rebelled against him, they teased him, they tried to make things difficult for him, and they did lots of problems, created lots of problems for the Prophet ﷺ. And the Jews, they were in the habit of even killing the Prophet ﷺ. So this is something which happens. So Allah SWT is saying that don't feel afraid of any criticism. So don't worry about the reproach of any critic. So that is, Allah SWT is saying, ذَلِكَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ, that is in fact a grace of Allah. This is a huge gift, that someone whom Allah loves and who love Allah, they are humble towards the believers, they are strict on the disbelievers, they do jihad in the way of Allah. and they don't worry about any criticism, that is a huge grace of Allah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives that grace to whomsoever He wants. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could give it to anybody. Allahu wasi'un. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give it to anybody. He is all embracing, but He is also Alim. So He only chooses to give these qualities to those people who really want it, who really want to make Allah happy and who want to enter paradise. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to act on these things.